Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take complex source material, distill the core insights, and turn them into actionable knowledge for you.
Today, we are undertaking a deep dive that really shifts how we view ourselves.
Absolutely. We're moving way beyond the purely chemical understanding of the human body and plunging straight into the physics of wellness.
It's an exploration of a pretty revolutionary physics-based approach. The core idea is that you are, at your foundation, a magnificent living electrical entity.
And that's the whole premise of the material we analyze today.
That's right. Our primary source, the body electric, is, well, it's a comprehensive guide. It's based on decades of research, drawing on historical pioneers like Beck and Royal Rife, and it integrates a lot of modern bioelectric concepts.
And we should be very clear about its purpose.
Yes. It is presented strictly for educational, historical, and research purposes. The goal is to put the tools of self-reliance into your hands, the learner.
Our mission today is to really unpack this idea. We want to show you exactly why thinking of your body as an electrical system is a path to greater autonomy and vitality.
It's all about freedom, the freedom to move from being a passive recipient of wellness strategies to becoming the active engineer of your own biology.
And critically, this is a huge focus of the source material. Doing so on a budget through self-sourced and often DIY approaches. This is really about technical liberation.
It is. And to lay the bedrock for this entire discussion, we have to start with the philosophical foundation of the whole movement. It's a quote from Nikola Tesla that just perfectly encapsulates this entire field.
I know the one. If you want to find the secrets of the universe,
Think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. We're going to explore precisely how that insight translates into tangible biological mechanisms, cellular communication, and internal maintenance protocols.
Okay, but before we plug in and explore the schematics, we need to handle the essential legal context. This is really important.
It is. The source material is adamant that we must include a mandatory safety alert.
So here it is. The information, protocols, and devices we discussed today are experimental. They make absolutely no medical claims to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
And the devices, especially the higher-powered units, have not been evaluated by regulatory bodies like the FDA or the EMA.
We are here to explore the science and the history, and you should always, always consult a licensed healthcare professional for any medical concerns.
Okay, with that covered, let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this shift in paradigm. The source starts with something that's almost an irrefutable truth, the fundamental truth of bioelectricity.
Right. It's a point that's so simple you almost miss it.
If you're rushed to the emergency room, what's the first thing they do to check if you're alive? The immediate test is electrical. An ECG checks the electrical rhythm of your heart.
And an EEG checks the electrical activity of your brain.
Exactly. If the doctors say there are no signs of life, what they're really confirming is the absence of an electrical signal.
It's a profound contradiction in conventional thinking, isn't it? We confirm life through electrical potential,
Right.
yet almost all subsequent therapeutic intervention relies solely on chemistry, on introducing compounds, drugs, and external substances.
The source material argues that this whole approach neglects the system's primary operational mechanism. It challenges us to ask, what if foundational well-being is about ensuring optimal voltage?
What if we just need to focus on recharging the biological battery?
I love that analogy, the car battery analogy. It's simple, but it works so well to illustrate what happens when that voltage drops.
It really does. A healthy, fully charged system performs flawlessly. But when the voltage drops due to things like chronic stress, poor diet, or environmental toxicity, the entire system begins to fail.
And that can manifest as immune deficiency or chronic conditions.
And that voltage drop has measurable electrical consequences in the body. It lowers something called the zeta potential.
Okay, what is zeta potential?
It's the electrical charge on the surface of your red blood cells. When this charge is optimal, the cells repel each other perfectly, so they flow freely through your capillaries.
Like magnets pushing each other away.
Exactly. But when the voltage drops, the zeta potential decreases and the cells start to stick together, causing circulation issues, internal congestion. It's like a traffic jam at the cellular level.
And the source uses another great analogy for the immune system. It's like a security camera running on low voltage.
Right. So instead of getting a sharp, crystal clear picture of what an intruder looks like, the image is blurred and grainy.
The signal is weak.
Precisely. The immune system can't efficiently identify or neutralize anomalies because it's operating at a functional deficit. The protocols we're exploring today are all designed to optimize that systemic voltage, to restore the clarity and functionality the body needs to maintain its own balance.
And this concept isn't some new age idea. It has a very specific historical starting point. Let's talk about that discovery in 1990.
This is where the modern movement really sparked. It was at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine.
With Dr. Lyman and Dr. Colley.
That's them. They were studying methods for rendering aggressive biological structures ineffective in a lab setting. They took blood in a test tube and applied a very specific, minuscule voltage, a microcurrent.
And what happened?
They found that these aggressive structures lost their ability to attach to and thus replicate within healthy cells.
Now, wait a minute. If the current was so low, just microcurrents, how did they know the effect was from the electricity and not, some accidental chemical reaction?
That's the beauty of the physics. The current was extremely low, way too low to heat or chemically alter the blood plasma.
So it wasn't cooking them?
Not at all. But it was just high enough to introduce an electromagnetic field that caused a physical change. Their findings were so significant that the research led to the 1993 U.S. patent, 5,188,738.
Which is now available purely for historical and informational review.
Correct. And it was that patent, detailing the ability to neutralize pathogens using low voltage, that caught the attention of a physicist named Bob Beck.
And he had a moment of insight.
A huge one. Beck, looking at the complexity of the body and the elegant simplicity of the experiment, asked the fundamental practical question.
Why can't we do this in the human body?
Right where the blood is closest to the skin. That intellectual leap moved the concept from a laboratory test tube to a practical, consumer-accessible methodology.
Which led directly to the invention of the Zapper, the first pillar of this system, blood electrification.
Okay, so let's delve into pillar one, blood electrification. This is where the precision of physics meets the complexity of biology.
And the mechanism is explained with a really intuitive analogy, the key and lock.
It's a perfect way to visualize it.
So let's elaborate. We know intruders have these protein keys on their surface, and our cells have receptor locks. How exactly does a tiny current bend that key?
The current is tiny, yes, only 50 to 100 microamperes, but it's applied at a specific frequency, historically around 4 hertz. This current introduces a small electromagnetic field into the bloodstream.
Okay.
When an intruder, which is essentially a living organism, passes through this field, the proteins on its outer shell, those keys, they begin to vibrate.
So we're not killing them with electricity, we're just shaking them.
Yeah.
Using resonance.
Exactly. We are inducing a mechanical vibration that's just sufficient to alter the precise three-dimensional structure of those protein keys. The source material specifies that this process blunts the epitopes.
Epitopes, that's the specific part of the key that fits into the lock, right?
That's the one. By blunting them, you change the shape just enough.
So the key is bent.
The key is bent, it no longer fits the lock, and the intruder cannot enter, attach to, or hijack the host cell.
Which means the mechanism of action is incredibly specific and non-toxic. Instead of poisoning the intruder, which can harm the host and lead to resistance,
you're just rendering it functionally inert by jamming its communication system.
That is an elegant solution.
It is. Once it's disabled, the body recognizes the anomaly as waste and efficiently flushes it out through natural processes. And because the mechanism is physical, a shape change, it's very, very difficult for the organism to develop genetic resistance, which is a massive advantage over chemical compounds.
Okay, now for the practical engineering side. Electrode placement. If we want to treat the entire blood volume efficiently, why the wrists? Why not somewhere else?
Maximum efficiency. The electrodes are positioned over the radial and ulnar arteries.
And that's because?
That's where the fastest moving blood is, and it's nearest to the surface of the skin. Think of your circulatory system as a vast river. You wouldn't put your water treatment plant in some stagnant lake.
No, you'd put it at a narrow, fast-flowing choke point.
Exactly. By treating the blood rapidly as it flows through the wrists, you ensure that the entire 5 to 6 liters of blood volume cycles through that electrification field multiple times during a single session.
This brings us to a major troubleshooting area. And this is absolutely essential for anyone embarking on this protocol. Let's do a safety deep dive on the Herxheimer reaction.
Yes, the Herxhacks.
Why does a successful cleanup sometimes feel just like the flu?
The Jarisch-Herxheimer reaction is basically the body saying too much waste too fast. It's the physical evidence that the protocol is working very effectively.
So it's a good sign, even though it feels terrible.
It's the best sign. When the electrification renders massive numbers of intruders inert, they all become biological debris. If this debris is flushed into the system faster than the liver and kidneys can process it, those organs just get temporarily overwhelmed.
So the flu-like symptoms, the fatigue, the headaches, the minor aches, are just signs of temporary systemic congestion. It's not sickness from a functioning pathogen.
Precisely. If a learner starts this protocol and feels profoundly lousy, they should actually take comfort that the cleanup has begun.
Okay, so what's the advice? The essential piece of engineering advice.
Immediate system regulation. Do not quit the protocol. That's the biggest mistake. But you must significantly reduce the exposure time. If you started at an hour, drop down to 15 minutes.
And hydration.
Absolutely critical. You must hyperhydrate. You need that fluid volume to physically flush the neutralized waste products through the kidneys and out of the system.
How much water are we talking about?
The source recommends a minimum of 3 liters of high-quality water daily. Think of it as increasing the flow rate of your internal plumbing system to handle a sudden surge of waste. This proactive management turns the cleansing crisis into a totally manageable detoxification process.
We've established that the blood electrification unit, the Zapper, is excellent at cleaning the high-speed highway of the blood. But as we transition to Pillar 2, deep cleaning with magnetic pulsing, the sources make it very clear the Zapper is not the complete answer.
Right. It can't be.
So why isn't treating the blood sufficient?
The sophisticated learner needs to understand that pathogens are, well, they're cunning. They use evasion tactics. They hide. When they sense the electrical field or the microcurrent flowing through the blood, they retreat. They hide in what the source material calls safe zones.
And these are the areas where the current just can't easily follow.
Exactly. The human body is not uniformly conductive. Electricity really struggles to penetrate dense organ tissue, bone marrow, and crucially, the lymph nodes.
Which are basically the body's centralized filtration system.
The perfect hiding spot. If these hidden guests can retreat to the lymph, wait out the electrical storm, and then reemerge later, the protocol will fail to provide long-term systemic support. We need a way to reach into the bone.
So we have to turn to a different physics solution, one that bypasses tissue resistance altogether, magnetism.
And this is a profound shift from a direct electrical current application to an induced current.
Which connects us directly back to Michael Faraday's 1831 discovery.
The principle of induction, yes. Faraday showed that a changing magnetic field creates an electric current inside a conductor, even if the magnetic field itself passes through non-conductive material without any resistance.
Magnetism goes through skin and bone effortlessly.
So the magnetic pulsar is engineered to create a magnetic wave so massive and so fast-changing that it fulfills Faraday's requirement for induction deep inside the body.
So we're talking about a serious piece of equipment.
Oh, yes. The pulsar generates a monumental, instantaneous burst, often 6,000 Gauss or more. This powerful magnetic field permeates every single layer of tissue. When that magnetic field hits the conductive fluids and interstitial spaces deep within the lymph nodes, the bone marrow, the dense tissue,
it instantly induces microcurrents.
Instantly. These induced currents are known as eddy currents.
Okay, so what is their function in this context? Are they the same as the Zappers current?
Functionally, yes. The eddy currents are the tow truck. They are the localized electrical current deep inside that safe zone. This induced current forces the hidden organisms, now sensing danger inside their own sanctuary, out of dormancy, and back into the bloodstream.
It's an internal flush.
It's a total internal flush. Once they are back on the highway, Pillar 1, the Zapper, can neutralize them, and the supporting pillars we'll discuss next can help manage the resulting waste. The two systems are completely dependent on each other for a comprehensive cleanup.
This is fascinating. Now, for the engineers and the DIY enthusiasts listening, we have to discuss the advanced engineering detailed coil geometry.
Yes, this is so important.
Why can't a hobbyist just, wind a simple solenoid coil for this powerful application?
Because the goal is deep tissue penetration. The physics of magnetic fields dictates that simple coils allow the energy to scatter very quickly.
It dissipates.
To ensure maximum flux density is focused deep into the body, advanced geometries are required. We're talking about designs like the toroidal or the very specialized Rodin windings.
Can you explain the difference in function? What does that mean for the user?
A standard solenoid coil creates a magnetic field that's essentially a big bubble radiating outwards in all directions. A well-designed toroidal or Rodin coil acts as a magnetic lens.
A magnetic lens. I like that.
It harnesses that field and focuses the energy downward in one direction. It reduces all the peripheral dissipation and maximizes the induction potential exactly where we need it most, deep within the bone and organ tissue. This high-level engineering is paramount for effectiveness and efficiency. Okay, so moving from those core bioelectric protocols, the sources emphasize two vital supporting pillars that radically accelerate detoxification and support general maintenance. Pillar 3 is the alchemy of silver.
The historical context of silver is just fascinating. Ancient civilizations used silver vessels to keep water pure. How does that ancient knowledge translate into a modern bioelectrical protocol?
Silver is defined here as a potent oligodynamic metal.
Oligodynamic, what does that mean?
It means that tiny trace amounts, specifically the silver ions, Ag+, are capable of exerting powerful effects on single-celled life. When high-quality colloidal silver is introduced to the body, it supports the system's defenses in a way that is profoundly difficult for organisms to counteract.
So what's the precise mechanism that makes it superior to, say, a typical chemical compound?
The mechanism is distinctly mechanical rather than chemical, in the sense of a drug.
Okay.
Single-celled organisms, whether they're bacterial or fungal, rely on specific respiratory enzymes to metabolize oxygen. These are called sulfhydryl groups.
Right.
The positive silver ion, Ag+A, is highly attracted to these groups. By attaching to them, the silver literally blocks the organism's critical oxygen pathway.
So the organism essentially suffocates because its breathing apparatus is mechanically bound by the silver ions.
That is precisely the concept. Since the silver is physically blocking a fundamental metabolic pathway, the organism can't just evolve a resistance by changing a simple chemical interaction point. It's a total structural failure.
Which explains why silver has retained its efficacy across centuries.
Exactly.
Now, for the learner who wants to implement this, quality control is paramount. How do we ensure the colloidal silver we source isn't just, well, junk with large, ineffective particles or added proteins?
This is a crucial practical tip. The source emphasizes avoiding any silver preparation that is cloudy, milky, or has sediment at the bottom. True, high-quality colloidal silver should be perfectly clear, or a very pale golden yellow.
And there's a test you can do at home.
Yes, a scientific test to confirm quality. You perform the Tyndall effect test.
Okay, describe the Tyndall effect test for the listener.
In a dark environment, you shine a low-power laser pointer through the liquid. If the silver is properly prepared with nano-sized particles suspended in the water, you will see a visible, sharp beam of light running right through the liquid.
Like sunlight streaming through dust in a room.
Exactly like that. That visible beam is the light reflecting off the billions of minute functional nanoparticles. If the beam is invisible, you probably have low-quality ion water, not a true colloidal suspension, and the product will be largely ineffective.
That's an immediate self-reliant test of product integrity. That's fantastic. Okay, let's move to Pillar 4, invisible fuel ozonated water. If the first three pillars disable and flush, this one is clearly dedicated to accelerating the waste removal process.
It is the ultimate cleanup tool. It drastically reduces the burden on your primary detoxification organs, like the liver and kidneys.
So how does it work? We're talking about ozone, O3.
Right, O3 is a highly unstable molecule of 3 oxygen atoms. That third atom is very loosely bound, and the molecule is constantly striving to stabilize by releasing it.
So when you introduce this molecule into the body by drinking ozonated water,
that extra oxygen atom is released as a powerful oxidant.
It accelerates the oxidation process internally.
Yes. And oxidation in this context is like rapid, gentle burning. That highly reactive, free oxygen atom aggressively seeks out toxins, metabolic waste, and all the neutralized debris left over from the Zapper and Pulsar protocols.
And it does what to them?
It converts these toxic materials into easily processed, harmless compounds. Water, H2O, and carbon dioxide, CO2, which the body can then expel immediately.
So by using ozone, you are essentially pre-processing the waste before it even gets to the liver and kidneys.
Exactly. You're preventing that heavy Herxheimer reaction we talked about earlier. It's intelligent engineering for detoxification.
What's the specific application method?
You need to use a cold corona discharge ozone generator. That part is critical for avoiding harmful nitrogen oxide byproducts, to bubble the gas into cold water for about 5 minutes.
And you have to drink it right away.
Immediately. Ozone is so short-lived, you must drink the water before the O3 degrades back into regular O2.
And we absolutely must emphasize the critical safety warning associated with handling the gas itself.
This is non-negotiable. While the ozonated water is safe to drink, you must never, ever inhale the ozone gas directly.
Why not?
It's highly reactive and will damage the delicate lung and sinus tissues. The process must always be performed in a well-ventilated space, ideally outside or near a powerful exhaust fan, to ensure any residual gas dissipates safely. You have to respect the power of the oxidant.
And here's where the deep dive into the engineering mindset really begins. Section 5 is for the learner, who values self-sufficiency, intellectual freedom, and of course, cost control.
Right. The DIY ethos is all about becoming the active engineer of your own vitality and achieving some pretty substantial cost savings.
Because the initial investment for professional bioelectric devices can be pretty significant.
It can be, but understanding and building these tools yourself not only saves money, it provides invaluable knowledge of how they function. It enables you to troubleshoot and modify them intelligently.
So let's start with the entry level, the most manageable hobby project, the Zapper, or blood electrifier.
This is the perfect starting point for the technical amateur.
What makes it so accessible?
Well, first, it runs on a simple 9-volt battery. The components are cheap, they're accessible, and it only requires basic soldering skills.
And the heart of the system is a common chip.
A very common chip. The NE555, or its low-power cousin, the TLC555 timer IC. It's a ubiquitous chip found in thousands of consumer electronics projects. And since the voltage is low and the current is heavily limited, the risk is minimal for a careful builder.
The reference schematic in the source, FAG 5.2, revolves around using that 555 timer to get the precise output. Can you walk us through the function of the specific components used to generate that waveform?
Absolutely. The 555 timer is a masterpiece of early integrated circuit design. In this circuit, it's set up as what's called an astable oscillator.
Meaning it creates a continuous pulse.
A continuous pulse. And the components $30 R22 and CU of AC2 are precisely calculated to determine the frequency of that pulse. Since the Beck protocol standard is around 4 Hz, these component values are chosen to produce a 4 Hz cycle.
But the key function of the 555 in this application is the type of waveform it produces.
Yes, which is a square wave.
Why is a square wave preferred over a smoother sine wave output? What's the difference?
A smooth sine wave only contains energy at its fundamental frequency, but a square wave is rich in harmonics. It's essentially the fundamental frequency, 4 Hz in this case, plus a whole cascade of odd-order multiples, 3x, 5x, 7x, and so on, all the way up the spectrum.
So it provides a broader, more impactful, energetic signature.
Exactly. It ensures greater resonance throughout the biological system. The 555 naturally produces this powerful, harmonically rich square wave.
Okay, now let's put the absolute spotlight on the most crucial safety component for any DIY builder. The current limiting safety resistor, $303. Why is this so vital that it must never be omitted?
This little component is the absolute guarantor of safety. $303, typically a $1 omega resistor, is placed in series with the electrodes.
And it controls the current.
It controls the current. The output current, the microamperes, is a function of the voltage and the total resistance of the circuit. That includes the fixed resistor, $303, and the variable resistance of your own skin.
And skin resistance varies wildly, right?
Dramatically. It changes based on moisture, temperature, your individual physiology. If you're sweating, your skin resistance might drop sharply.
And without that resistor.
Without a large fixed resistance like 3 and or 3 dols, a drop in skin resistance could cause the current to spike well above the 100 microampere safety ceiling. 303 acts as the fixed, unyielding impedance that ensures, no matter how sweaty your skin gets, the current output remains strictly limited to those safe microampere levels.
Omitting 303 turns a safe experimental device into a potential unregulated hazard.
It's the one part you cannot skip.
That's the technical explanation our audience needed. Safe, manageable, and educational. Now let's transition to the advanced level, the magnetic pulsar. Here, the DIY ethos hits a wall of extreme caution.
We have to issue the most serious, high-level warning here. Building the magnetic pulsar at home is inherently dangerous. This is not a beginner's project.
And the reason is the power storage.
It's all about the power storage. This device requires a massive, instantaneous energy discharge, and it operates by charging large electrolytic capacitors, often up to 300 volts or even higher.
What is the specific lethal risk associated with those components?
Capacitors are electrical storage tanks, and they can retain a lethal electrical charge for days, even weeks after the device has been unplugged and turned off.
So even if it's unplugged, it can still be dangerous.
Extremely. Simply touching the terminals by accident can result in a fatal shock. High voltage circuitry requires specialized training, professional safety protocols, and dedicated discharge systems that are far beyond the scope of a basic hobbyist.
And beyond the immediate electrical danger, there's the engineering challenge of creating a durable coil. It's dealing with forces we don't usually encounter in home electronics.
Absolutely. The coil has to be engineered to handle the immense physical stresses created by that rapid magnetic discharge, the Lorentz force.
Lorentz forced it.
When that much current is dumped instantly, the magnetic field generates immense mechanical forces that literally try to tear the copper windings apart from the inside. A poorly built coil will vibrate violently, generate excessive heat, short-circuit its own insulation, and melt itself into a useless lump. This requires industrial-level coil construction, like vacuum impregnation with epoxy, to mechanically stabilize the windings against vibration and heat.
So the build or buy conclusion here requires a very pragmatic risk assessment, even for the most determined, self-reliant practitioner.
It does. While the Zapper offers a fantastic DIY opportunity for cost savings and learning, the magnetic pulsar is a different beast. Due to the lethal voltages, the necessity of specialized, robust capacitor banks, and the complex mechanical engineering required to build an effective, deep-penetrating coil.
It's often better sourced professionally.
It really is. You're paying for engineered safety, durability, and effectiveness, which far outweighs the risk of building a potentially lethal and ineffective device at home.
Let's move to Chapter 6, which I found genuinely surprising in its depth, the frequency catalog. This compiled toolkit from historical research, Rife, Nogier, Clark, goes so far beyond just the 4 Hz Zapper standard.
Yeah, it really does.
It offers an expanded lexicon for the electrical engineer of the body. I was so excited to see this part.
It's the ultimate operating manual. This catalog allows the learner to move beyond broad cleansing protocols and explore highly targeted energetic support using specialized frequency generators. This shift moves us into the subtle art of cellular communication.
We start with Category 1, brain waves and foundational tones. These are the lowest, most foundational frequencies.
Right down at the very bottom, we find the delta waves, from 0.5 to 4.0 Hz. These are associated with the deepest regenerative sleep states and are crucial for the release of human growth hormone, or HGH.
And this connects right back to our foundation.
Exactly, because the 4.0 Hz frequency is the Beck protocol standard for blood electrification. It highlights that even the main cleansing protocol is working in a biologically resonant, regenerative frequency space.
Then we have the Earth's own grounding frequency, which is just fascinating.
The Schumann resonance, 7.83 Hz. This is the standing electromagnetic wave between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere.
And what's it used for?
Exposure to this frequency is often cited for general mental balance, grounding, and reducing stress. It helps to counteract the electronic noise pollution of modern life.
Moving up from there, we enter the alpha and gamma states.
Right. Alpha waves, centered around 10.0 Hz, correlate with relaxed alertness, the meditative state, and are specifically linked to the release of serotonin for mood stability.
But the source places a special emphasis on 40.0 Hz gamma.
It does. Gamma waves are involved in high-level cognitive processing, integrating information across the entire brain.
Why the particular focus on 40.0 Hz? What makes it special?
40 Hz is often cited as the frequency associated with the binding problem, the mechanism by which the brain links all your sensory inputs into a single perceived reality.
So it's about clarity and focus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The catalog notes its potential for lifting brain fog, enhancing memory, and supporting complex cognitive function. It's seen as the frequency of peak mental performance.
Okay, Category 2 provides the highly specialized data from Nogier. Cellular resonances. Yeah, this isn't just about the brain anymore. It's about deep tissue and organ support.
Right. Dr. Nogier hypothesized that specific frequencies resonate with different embryological tissue layers and physiological systems. These frequencies range widely, from 73 Hz all the way up to 672 Hz.
So,
For example, 73 Hz A is cited for general cellular vitality and metabolism. It's a foundational tone for the body itself.
And how does this spectrum break down based on tissue function? It seems to follow a pattern.
It does. We see a functional progression. 146 Hz a D supports the inflammation response, helping the body deal with acute tissue damage. Then 292 Hz C focuses on the ectoderm.
The outer layer that becomes skin in the nervous system.
Right, so it's highly relevant for wound healing and scar reduction. As the frequencies increase, 584 Hz D is linked to circulation and lymphatic drainage, which is vital for moving nutrients and waste.
On the higher end frequencies.
1168 Hz E targets the musculoskeletal system bones and connective tissue, and 2036 Hz F is associated with deep hormonal balance and hypothalamus function. It's often used for emotional or energetic trauma release.
Category 3 moves into a more non-physical realm, the Solfeggio tones. How do we reconcile the physics-based approach of the Zapper with these more esoteric spiritual tones?
Well, the source views these as addressing the energetic and emotional infrastructure of the body, which, according to the physics model, still operates on vibration.
Okay.
So we see frequencies like 174 Hz associated with deep physical pain reduction and security, and 396 Hz and 417 Hz for the energetic work of, liberating guilt and facilitating transformative change.
And then there's the famously controversial tone, 528 Hz.
Yes. The source highlights 528 Hz, often called the miracle tone, citing its association with energetic DNA repair and perhaps most evocatively the frequency of love.
Whether you take the scientific or spiritual interpretation,
The common thread is the idea of a high-integrity, beneficial vibration. Higher still are 852 Hz, linked to spiritual awakening, and the apex tone, 963 Hz, associated with pineal gland activation and a sense of divine connection.
finally, we hit this vast database. Category 4, historical rife and general support. This catalog is immense. It spans from 20 Hz up to 10,000 Hz and offers practical applications for specific functional imbalances.
This is the historical culmination of decades of frequency research. You find foundational tones like 20 Hz for general vitality and 50-60 Hz for relieving muscle spasms, which likely hits a resonant frequency of the muscle fiber contraction itself.
And the range of practical applications is just vast.
It really is. You see 465 Hz targeting Candida and fungal balance. 500 Hz is specifically listed for liver support, which is crucial for managing detoxification.
Give us some context on the historically most famous frequencies in this list.
One of the most historically significant frequencies listed is 727 Hz. Rife's research referred to this as the general purifier, or universal killer. It's been historically cited for managing general bacterial imbalances, including staph.
And the catalog also includes frequencies focused purely on repair.
It does, like 1800 Hz for tissue repair and regeneration.
And what about the very top end of the list? What is the function of the 10,000 Hz entry?
At the high end, 2720 Hz is cited for clearing nasal congestion and sinus issues. But the highest listed frequency, 10,000 Hz, is particularly interesting. It's noted for having a deep sedative or calming effect on the nervous system.
So its utility would be in managing hyperactivity or acute nervous stress.
Potentially, yes. The sheer variety shows the breadth of the experimental toolkit available to the biohacker.
And to wrap up this section, let's revisit that technical tip for the engineers listening who are going to be programming their own frequency generators.
Yes, this is a key takeaway. The source strongly suggests that when you're using these frequencies, if your device supports waveform adjustment, using the square waveform is generally more effective than a sine wave.
Because of the harmonics we talked about earlier.
Exactly. The square wave's rapid rise time and richer harmonic content carry more energetic information and achieve a broader systemic resonance, making the frequency application much more robust. So, for the diligent engineer who has built their zapper or acquired a pulsar, a very natural anxiety comes up.
Right. How do I know if this invisible work is actually happening? We need concrete, physical testing methods.
It's a crucial point. We are dealing with microcurrents and invisible magnetic fields. Let's start with the zapper. How can we confirm the microcurrent is actually flowing?
There are two methods, right?
Two methods. First, the basic functional test. You take a damp paper towel or a sponge and you press the two electrodes onto it. Turn up the voltage. If the circuit is active, the little indicator LED light on the device will dim or flicker slightly.
And that shows that the circuit is successfully completing through the moderate resistance of the damp medium.
Perfect. That's test one.
And the more direct, though cautious, test.
The tongue test. And you have to use extreme caution here. Ensure the voltage setting is at its absolute minimum.
All right.
If you lightly touch the electrodes to the very tip of your tongue, you should experience a distinct metallic or sour, tangy sensation. That sensation is undeniable proof that the microcurrent is flowing and the circuit is functional.
If you taste nothing.
The circuit is open or the battery is dead.
Got it. Now, for the high-powered unit, the magnetic pulsar, how do you test its high-Gauss power generation, which is required for deep tissue penetration?
This test is genuinely spectacular and it offers unequivocal proof of power. It's called the neodymium test.
Okay, how does it work?
You place the pulsar's coil flat on a table and put a small, powerful neodymium magnet on top of it. When you trigger the device, bam! The pulse is so intensely powerful that the magnet should violently launch several inches or even feet into the air.
Wow. And that's due to magnetic repulsion.
Pure magnetic repulsion. If the magnet just sticks, what does that indicate?
It means the field is weak, or you have the magnetic poles of the magnet and the coil opposing each other.
Exactly. So if it sticks, just flip the magnet over and try again. That visceral physical launch is the visual confirmation that the powerful, deep penetrating Gauss field is being generated successfully.
Let's circle back to troubleshooting the inevitable Herxheimer reaction.
Yeah.
We've established that it's a sign of success, but it can be debilitating enough to cause people to just stop the protocol.
Which is the worst thing to do.
So what is the precise management protocol?
If you wake up feeling flu-like, profound fatigue, headache, body ache, you must immediately recognize this is the cleanup crisis. The firm advice remains, slow down, do not stop.
You must cut your session time in half or even quarter it.
Exactly. If you were doing 1 hour of zapping, drop to 15 minutes. You have to continue processing the waste, just at a slower rate.
And what are the chemical or nutritional supports required during that time?
Hydration is the absolute foundation. You have to maintain at least 3 liters of water daily. On top of that, the source recommends significantly increasing your intake of vitamin C, which is a powerful antioxidant that helps the liver process toxins.
And what about binders?
Yes, and perhaps introducing binders like activated charcoal or clay to help sequester and carry the rapidly released toxins out of the digestive tract. Managing the debris load is the key to minimizing the discomfort and ensuring your energy rebounds quickly.
Finally, we must close with the most critical, non-negotiable safety checks regarding implants and these high-power devices.
These are absolute red lines. First, pacemakers. The fields generated by both the zapper and especially the magnetic pulsar can interfere with the electronic timing of a pacemaker.
So individuals with pacemakers,
Must never use this technology, period.
and for those with metal implants, which are extremely common, hip replacements, dental implants, plates, screws.
Caution here is entirely specific to the magnetic pulsar. The zapper's low voltage current stays largely within the forearm, but the magnetic field passes through everything.
And it can affect metal.
Magnetic fields can cause metal implants to heat up significantly through induction, or to create uncomfortable microvibrations in the surrounding bone or tissue. You must not place the magnetic coil directly over any area containing metal.
What's the safe distance?
The source advises maintaining a strict minimum safe distance of at least 8 inches or 20 centimeters from the implant area. Respecting the magnetic field's power is paramount for safety.
And for the engineer focusing on chronic issues, what is the realistic timeline? This process is clearly not designed as a quick pill.
Not at all. This is a systemic overhaul. It's a process, and it requires patience. For acute short-term imbalances, you might see relief in as little as 3 to 5 days.
But for chronic issues,
For chronic, deep-seated issues where those safe zones have been heavily populated for years, the founder, Bob Beck, recommended following dedicated, structured cycles, like a 21-day cycle or even a 90-day protocol for complete systemic blood and lymph purification. Consistency and patience are the ultimate virtues in bioelectrical engineering. We began this deep dive by anchoring ourselves to Tesla's mandate: energy, frequency, and vibration.
and we've now come full circle. We've moved from that foundational concept to a practical, integrated strategy.
You know now that your body is a magnificent electrical circuit, and you understand how the 4 pillars: electrification to disable pathogens in the blood, magnetic pulsing to flush them from deep tissue, silver for mechanical defense, and ozone for rapid waste oxidation, how they all combine synergistically.
This entire system is designed to achieve one objective: to restore your body's systemic voltage and frequency integrity. It's about giving it back the raw electrical power it requires to efficiently run its own processes of self-regulation and defense.
It's empowering the machine.
Yes, in an environment where so many wellness strategies rely on external chemical inputs and perpetual intervention.
The knowledge that you can maintain and tune your own biological battery using the physics of energy and frequency is the ultimate antidote to reliance.
You are now armed with a comprehensive understanding of the path, whether you choose the cost-saving DIY approach for the low-voltage protocols or the professional acquisition of the high-power units.
You're no longer just reacting to symptoms, you're addressing the foundational energy deficit.
You're moving from a passive patient to an active, self-reliant engineer of your own body's electrical reality.
It is about reclaiming your vitality and your freedom from fear.
And with that, we leave you with the source's concluding sentiment. something for you to mull over as you begin this energetic journey. It's a reminder that this entire process is about raising your internal state. May your path be clear and your frequency high.